Have you ever seen Don Knotts in The Shakiest Gun in the West Type 1 if yes, or Buzzuro if it's still on your watch list? He was America's beloved, nervous sidekick, a master of awkward charm and comedy gold. But while the cameras rolled on the 1968 comedy classic The Shakiest Gun in the West, Don Knotts was hiding something. Something that could have changed how audiences saw him forever. Let's explore in this video. The Shakiest Gun in the West became one of Universal City Studios' most profitable ventures, generating approximately $3,000 to $1,000 from a modest $200,000 investment. This particular film stands out among Don Knotts' comedic Western movies because it finally dares to do what The Andy Griffith Show would not: give Don Knotts a loaded gun. The movie, directed by Alan Rafkin, follows Dr. Jesse Haywood, a Philadelphia dentist who ventures to bring dental care to the untamed frontier. The sort of thing I love about the film is how it portrays Knotts' character as a predictable coward and mama's boy from Philadelphia. The story presents an unexpectedly thoughtful commentary on gender roles and manhood in the Old West. The movie's production history reveals interesting details. It features a script by two regular writers from The Andy Griffith Show, which gives it a distinct sitcom-like quality. The comedy actually reimagines Bob Hope's classic film The Paleface. Don Knotts hides surprising truth during filming. Don Knotts made The Shakiest Gun in the West a hit with his laughter and physical comedy, but he kept deep personal struggles hidden from his audiences and colleagues. The 1968 filming saw Knotts manage to keep his professional demeanor while he quietly dealt with emotional turmoil that few people understood. The people who worked closely with Knotts on set gave an explanation about the beloved comedian's hidden battles. Several accounts showed that Knotts still felt the emotional impact of his divorce from his college sweetheart, Catherine Metz, just a few years before the filming started. He projected his trademark nervous energy and comedic timing on camera, but would often retreat to his trailer during breaks. These weren't moments to rehearse lines or relax. He needed solitude away from production pressures. Pat Carroll's experience with Knotts on other projects led her to say, "Don was the most professional performer I've ever known, but he carried private worries that the public never saw." The crew noticed that Knotts felt lonely during production despite his fame from The Andy Griffith Show. His years with a close-knit ensemble cast had become family to him. Leading a feature film created an unexpected isolation. This emotional distance proved especially tough as he felt pressure to prove himself as a leading comedic actor after leaving television. The cast was surprised to learn about Knotts' battles with chronic hypochondria and physical tension throughout his career. He expertly hid these symptoms while cameras rolled, but people working closely with him sometimes noticed his health anxieties between takes. One production assistant remembered, "He would sometimes check his pulse between scenes, though he never complained or let it affect his work." The cast members saw something striking. Knotts' seemingly confident exterior masked deep-seated insecurities about his performances. His multiple Emmy Awards for The Andy Griffith Show didn't stop him from doubting his ability to carry The Shakiest Gun in the West as its star. These hidden struggles actually improved Knotts' portrayal of Dr. Jesse Haywood in ways audiences couldn't fully grasp. His personal anxieties naturally fueled his character's nervous mannerisms. The dentist's awkward social interactions and constant worry reflected parts of Knotts' own psychological world, adding unexpected depth beneath the comedy. Film historian Martin Knellman observed, "What made Knotts so compelling was that his comedy came from a place of genuine vulnerability." Knotts' performance style, which he called the nervous man, fit Dr. Haywood's character perfectly. The New York Times called this persona absolutely flappable, a quality that served both the comedy and showed Knotts' real internal state. He channeled personal insecurities into his performance and created authentic moments that struck a chord with audiences even if they didn't know why. Dr. Haywood's uncontrollably trembling hand while trying to shoot a gun became unexpectedly meaningful when seen through Knotts' real struggles. These exaggerated physical reactions, though funny, showed a comedic version of genuine inner tension. The film talks about inadequacy and masculinity that matched Knotts' complex relationship with confidence. His line to a buxom seductress, "I always thought I was too thin for marriage," carried extra weight given Knotts' actual insecurities about his slight frame. His character's trip from perceived weakness to unexpected strength reflected his professional determination to succeed despite internal doubts. Knotts stayed punctual, enthusiastic, and creative with his physical comedy throughout filming. He knew how to improvise awkward facial expressions and flustered body language. This gave The Shakiest Gun in the West much of its charm, while letting him channel his personal anxieties creatively. The film gained enormously from the very struggles Knotts worked hard to hide. Knotts delivered a performance that secured his place as one of America's most beloved comedic actors despite these challenges. His portrayal of Dr. Haywood proves his remarkable ability to turn personal pain into artistic expression without audiences ever knowing the truth behind his shakiest moments. Don Knotts plays a nervous dentist in the Old West. The Shakiest Gun in the West shows Don Knotts at his best as Jesse W. Haywood, a Philadelphia dentist who graduates in 1870 and dreams of bringing dental hygiene to America's frontier. His character stands out right from the start as the dental school's valedictorian who clearly has no clue about the tough life out west. The opening scenes nail this perfectly. Haywood struggles with a stubborn female patient who won't open her mouth during his graduation exam, giving us a taste of the physical comedy that defines his character throughout the movie. Dr. Haywood starts his experience as someone who embodies Eastern sophistication and timidity. He follows Horace Greeley's famous advice to go west, believing the territories desperately need dental care. His plans take an unexpected turn after he joins a wagon train and gets tangled up with Barbara Rhoades' character, Penelope Bad Penny. Cushing, an ex-outlaw, now seeker shower. A series of mix-ups and accidental heroics shape Haywood's character. During an Indian attack on their wagon train, Penny skillfully takes down several attackers. Haywood thinks his random shot saved everyone. This misunderstanding changes everything as the town celebrates him as a gunslinging hero, which fills him with false confidence. The dentist faces his biggest test when Arnold the Kid challenges him to a gunfight. Though terrified, Haywood accepts the challenge, with Penny's secret help, of course. His character truly evolves after he discovers the truth about his fake heroism and Penny's lies. Instead of giving up, he finds real courage after gun smugglers kidnap Penny. He sneaks into their camp disguised as an Indian woman, shows true bravery, rescues Penny, and proves himself worthy. The story comes full circle at the end when Haywood's dental skills prove useful as he fixes the Indian chief's missing teeth, proving his original Western adventure right. Jesse Haywood feels like a natural extension of Don Knotts' beloved nervous character Barney Fife from The Andy Griffith Show. The same creative team brought this character to life, including writers Jim Fritzl and Everett Greenbaum and director Alan Rafkin, all veterans of the popular TV series. Knotts brings his signature nervous man act to the Western setting, complete with facial tics, stuttering, and over-the-top physical reactions. His style, especially those shaky hands and startled looks, fits perfectly in the Western genre, creating humor through contrast with the typical macho cowboy image. Haywood shares many traits with Barney Fife. Both characters act overconfident despite obvious insecurities, struggle hilariously with guns, and somehow find unexpected courage. Critics loved how they placed Knotts' nervous man character in this macho world. It created some great laughs. The movie follows Knotts' usual comedy formula. A lovable nerd lacks confidence, stumbles into becoming a local hero, faces shame and disgrace, then performs an amazing act of courage that makes him a real hero and wins him the girl. The sort of thing I love about The Shakiest Gun in the West is how it takes a chance that The Andy Griffith Show never did. It puts a loaded gun in Don Knotts' hands. The results are exactly as chaotic as you'd expect. Hidden truth. Despite the fact that Don Knotts was best known for his comedic timing, lovable awkwardness, and unforgettable characters, particularly his role as Barney Fife on The Andy Griffith Show. Very few people were aware that while he was filming The Shakiest Gun in the West in 1968, he was quietly struggling with a deeply personal and emotional challenge behind the scenes. Knotts was going through a challenging moment in his personal life during the time in question. It had only been a few years since his marriage to Catherine Metz, his college sweetheart, had ended in divorce. Despite his best efforts to keep his normal cheery and humorous image on set, he was still bearing the emotional weight of the split. After some time had passed, friends and co-stars recalled that Knotts, while being the epitome of professionalism, would occasionally go to his trailer during breaks. This was not for the purpose of unwinding or practicing lines. Rather, it was just to find a moment of loneliness. Knotts was not only dealing with emotional stress, but he was also fighting with substantial anxiety. This was something that had tormented him for a significant portion of his life, but he had purposefully concealed it from the general public and even from the majority of his co-workers. Off-screen, he was reflective, soft-spoken, and usually apprehensive about his own performances in contrast to the energetic and frequently frenzied nature he displayed on film. The pressure he faced to establish himself as a major comedy performer after leaving The Andy Griffith Show exacerbated this self-doubt that he was experiencing. The Shakiest Gun in the West was one of the first significant solo projects that Knotts worked on after achieving fame on television. He was aware that many people were watching him to see whether or not he could successfully carry a picture on his own. In the event that the film was a failure, he was concerned that his career as a box office attraction may come to an end. The fact that Knotts had a complicated relationship with confidence was something that the majority of people were unaware of. He was the youngest of 4 brothers and had been reared in a humble family in West Virginia during the Great Depression. His early years were defined by adversity because of the circumstances of his upbringing. His father, who struggled from mental illness, passed away when Don was still a teenager, and the emotional scars that were left behind from that circumstance would continue to haunt him throughout the remainder of his life. In spite of the fact that his comic abilities garnered him acclaim and accolades, including a number of Emmy wins, he was never able to completely overcome the profound fears that had been ingrained in him during his upbringing. While he was working on The Shakiest Gun in the West, he was adamant about putting on a brave face not just for the cameras but also for the cast crew and fans who had nothing but the highest expectations for him. The fact that he was always struggling with health problems such as chronic hypochondria and physical strain added even another layer of complexity to his hitherto concealed challenges. Numerous times, Knotts was too concerned about his health, which was something that might be both distracting and taxing for individuals. It was well known that he carried a variety of vitamins and treatments with him at all times, and he occasionally became obsessed with very trivial diseases. Even though he made an effort to conceal this during the recording process, those who were closest to him were able to detect the tension that was present. It was a credit to his amazing discipline and devotion to his art that he was able to keep his comic timing, execute slapstick performances, and seem carefree on television, despite the internal turmoil that he was going through. During the production, Knotts experienced a sense of isolation that was maybe the most moving. Due to the fact that he had achieved a great deal of success on The Andy Griffith Show, he was no longer surrounded by the familiar ensemble cast and support structure that had been like a second family to him. The transition from the tight-knit community of Mayberry to the more solitary experience of being the director of a major picture was a difficult one on an emotional level. The set of The Shakiest Gun in the West was a more isolated experience for him, and he privately ached for the companionship and friendliness that had defined his earlier work. Despite the fact that he had followers and admirers everywhere, it was a more lonesome experience. Knotts never allowed any of these covert battles to get in the way of the creation of the picture, despite the fact that they were all present. With his physical humor, he never missed a beat, never lost his enthusiasm, and never stopped coming up with new ideas. A significant portion of the film's allure may be attributed to his aptitude for improvising odd facial expressions and frazzled body language. In one of his most famous scenes, in which he tries to discharge a rifle but is unable to stop his hand from shaking, the audience shouted with amusement. They were unaware that his exaggerated jitters were in a way a humorous expression of very genuine inner strain. The Shakiest Gun in the West proved to be a significant stepping stone in Don Knotts' cinematic career, as can be seen in hindsight through the lens of his career. It became a cult classic, particularly among fans who enjoyed his sense of comedy despite the fact that it did not achieve a significant amount of success at the box office. It demonstrated that he was capable of carrying a picture on his own even without the safety net of a supporting TV cast, and it cemented his position as a mainstay in the American comedy film industry throughout the late 1960s. Love old Hollywood and the untold stories behind the smiles. Then don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell to uncover more secrets from the stars you thought you knew. Barbara, a striking redhead actress, joins the Shakiest Gun in the West cast as the perfect match for Don Knotts' nervous dentist. Barbara Rhoades plays Penelope, Bad Penny. Cushing's a notorious outlaw who changes the film's direction. She brings a progressive female character to this 1968 Western comedy as a tall, confident woman with exceptional shooting skills that contrast with Jesse Haywood's bumbling nature. Penny's story starts after her capture following a successful run of cattle-rustling, stagecoach robbing, etc. The sheriff offers her an unexpected deal, a full pardon if she works undercover for the federal government. Her task is simple: join a wagon train suspected of carrying smugglers who supply rifles to Comanche Indians, identify the culprits, and help catch them. This task puts Penny in a tricky spot. She must look like a proper frontier woman seeking a new life out west. Behind this facade, she works as a government agent using her criminal skills to catch dangerous gun runners. This split creates tension as Penny balances her outlaw abilities with her cover story. Things get complicated when she discovers single women can't join the wagon train, company rules. The agent meant to pose as her husband ended up dead. Penny needs to find a replacement husband by 500 tomorrow morning to keep her cover intact. The wagon master puts it simply: all you need is something wearing pants. Jesse Haywood becomes her target by design. She spots his naive nature and eagerness to please, making him the ideal mark: a tender ninny dentist. Her real mission stays hidden from Jesse and fellow travelers, creating situations where her expert shooting saves lives while Jesse gets the credit. Penny and Jesse's relationship drives the shakiest gun in the Western movie. Their first meeting sets up their opposite personalities when Penny calls Jesse a tender ninny, a comment that hurts his pride. This rough start leads to some of the film's best moments. Their chemistry builds through Penny's calculated seduction of the clueless dentist. She visits him with a terrible toothache, using charm to get her way. Jesse's awkward question about whether the toothache is in your mouth shows both his innocence and her clever manipulation. Rhoades plays her part with a perfect mix of charm and calculation as she steers Jesse toward marriage. Their fake wedding creates plenty of laughs. Jesse thinks Penny truly loves him, but she sees their marriage as just a convenient cover. Critics love her performance. Her hot, cold, seductress gunslinger act is highly entertaining, especially next to Knott's nervous energy. Penny shows her skills throughout their wagon train trip. During an Indian attack, she takes down several attackers while Jesse struggles with his gun. Jesse's wrong belief that he saved everyone complicates things further as Penny tries to complete her mission without deflating his ego. The costumes tell their own story. Rhoades looks stunning in her Western outfit, the best-looking cowboy in her Western duds, with jeans that fit like liquid wax into a mold. These clothes stand out against Jesse's proper Eastern attire and show how different they are. This unlikely pair gives the film its charm. Their performances work together perfectly. His nervousness plays off her confidence. One critic said it best: "I'd recommend watching the movie for her alone. She has a lot of good chemistry with Don Knotts." Comedic misunderstandings fuel the plot. A series of comedic errors and misunderstandings push the shakiest gun in the West forward. These mix-ups create laughs and advance the plot. Don Knotts shows his perfect expressions of shock and bewilderment that make the film's humor work. Jesse Haywood accidentally gets a reputation as a deadly marksman. The wagon train faces an Indian attack where Jesse fumbles with his gun. Penelope expertly shoots the attackers from her hiding spot. Jesse has no idea about her help and believes his random shots hit their targets. He stutters through his explanation, while the wagon train celebrates their unexpected hero. The townspeople hear about his supposed feats and his reputation grows into legend. Jesse's accidental persona as Doc the Haywood creates a chain reaction of mix-ups. The preacher Donald Barry and his partner Jackie Coogan worry about Jesse's presence. They think he's an undercover federal agent. They get notorious gunslinger Arnold the Kid to challenge Jesse. Jesse fires all 6 shots during practice and misses everything. Arnold faces him sure that Jesse's gun is empty. Penny's hidden shot kills him. The outlaw's last words make things worse. He had a 7-shooter. These mix-ups keep building Jesse's undeserved reputation. He practices drawing his gun and hits everything except what he aims at. His confidence grows with each wrong attribution and leads him into dangerous situations. Jesse and Penny's relationship starts with another big mix-up. Penny needs to join the wagon train for her undercover work. Single women can't join, so she tricks the naive dentist into a quick marriage. "I can't get married without telling my mother," Jesse protests before getting rushed into the ceremony. Their journey brings more romantic confusion. Jesse thinks their quick marriage means something real. He shows Penny real affection without knowing her true plans. She sees their relationship as just a cover while she looks for gun smugglers. The marriage mix-up peaks when Jesse tries to consummate their marriage. Penny turns him down and leaves him confused about their relationship. His innocent belief in her feelings creates awkward moments that show how his romantic dreams clash with her practical mission. Penny finally tells Jesse everything, "I'm leaving you forever." The truth crushes his illusions. He goes to the saloon, gets drunk, and admits he didn't do any heroic deeds. His drunken state even mixes up his dental advice: brush your dentist twice a day, visit your toothbrush once a year. Jesse finds real courage after losing his fake identity. He sees Penny getting kidnapped by gun smugglers and follows them to the Indian village. His rescue attempt, where he dresses up as an Indian woman, becomes his first true heroic act, one he does without help or confusion. The film parodies classic Western tropes. The Shakiest Gun in the West serves as a loving parody of classic Western film conventions. Director Alan Rafkin and the writing team turned traditional Western tropes upside down. They created comedy through Don Knotts' anti-heroic dentist character that went against every genre expectation. The memorable bullet-counting sequence stands as the movie's best parody moment. The film takes a brilliant shot at the familiar Western standoff when Jesse faces Arnold the Kid. Arnold waits outside and listens to Jesse fire all 6 practice shots before making his challenge. The scene gets even funnier as townspeople try to keep count of Jesse's bullets. They repeatedly count out loud just to make sure they got it right. This perfectly mocks how Western characters always seem to track their opponent's ammunition. Regular Westerns use drinking scenes just to set the mood. This movie turns saloon moments into pure physical comedy gold. Jesse stumbles around with slurred speech and pratfalls that show he doesn't belong on the frontier. The drinking jokes extend to Native American characters, too. We see them passing a whiskey bottle around and drinking to excess during celebrations, nothing like the serious faces you see in typical Westerns. The physical comedy tears down every Western hero ideal. Jesse twitches nervously at any sign of danger, and his gun keeps misfiring. He's the complete opposite of John Wayne. Don Knotts, the shakiest gun in the West, packed the screen with slapstick pratfalls and wanton silliness that went against the tough guy image of Western heroes. The Shakiest Gun in the West remakes the 1948 Bob Hope comedy The Paleface. Hope played Painless Potter with Jane Russell as Calamity Jane, though critics point out that Don Knotts is no Bob Hope. These movies follow almost identical plots. Both feature Eastern dentists who become accidental Western heroes. They team up with skilled female outlaws working undercover for the government. The dentist always gets credit for his partner's shooting skills by mistake. The remake borrowed many gags from the original, but critics felt they were never quite inspired in the Knotts version. The Paleface earned much better reviews with a perfect 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes. The remake got mixed reactions. The American Film Institute recognized the original and it made it into the book 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. Don Knotts' Western movies like this one didn't receive these honors. Where was The Shakiest Gun in the West filmed? The Shakiest Gun in the West completed filming on June 12, 1967. The crew shot most scenes at Universal Studios in Universal City, California. The Western comedy used the Mexican street set on the Universal backlot. This popular filming spot gave them authentic-looking Western scenery without the need for expensive location shoots. Universal Pictures made the film with $120 million, which was modest even by 1960s standards. These budget constraints made the production team shoot everything on the studio backlot instead of real Western locations. The Mexican street set at Universal Studios was a budget-friendly choice. It came with ready-made Western buildings, saloons, and dusty streets that matched perfectly with the film's comedic take on frontier life. A major fire broke out during production and destroyed 12 acres of movie and television sets on Universal's backlot. The blaze started in a barn on the Laramie Street set from unknown causes and caused about $100 million in damage. The Los Angeles Times covered the whole ordeal on May 16, 1967, and reported how the fire impacted multiple productions, including sets for The Shakiest Gun in the West. The movie premiered in Los Angeles on June 26, 1968, over a year after filming wrapped. The extended post-production time might have been needed to deal with the backlot fire damage. Universal's backlot created the perfect environment for Don Knotts' physical comedy. The studio setting let them stage his elaborate physical gags and pratfalls precisely unlike real Western locations with unpredictable weather and rough terrain. The Mexican street set looked familiar to television viewers, which added to the comedic tone. People recognized these locations from Western television series, which created an instant visual connection that helped with the film's parody elements. The slightly artificial look of backlot westerns went well with the film's comedic approach. Don Knotts' Western movies often focused on exaggerated situations rather than authentic frontier realism. The production design team made the most of these familiar settings to create comedy, especially in scenes where Knotts' character stumbles through typical Western environments like saloons and dusty streets. Death and legacy. Don Knotts died at the age of 81 on February 24, 2006, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, California. His death resulted from pulmonary and respiratory difficulties induced by pneumonia, which were compounded by lung cancer. Knotts had been receiving medical treatment at Cedars-Sinai, one of the country's finest hospitals, for the months preceding up to his death. Despite his critical state, his health appeared to improve for a short period of time. According to reports at the time, he recovered his strength and spirits temporarily, allowing him to leave the hospital and return home. Unfortunately, his health deteriorated quickly following this improvement. Knotts' death marked the end of a storied career spanning more than 5 decades, and the news sparked widespread sadness and contemplation in the entertainment industry. He was put to rest at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery in Los Angeles, a serene location noted for being the last resting place of many Hollywood celebrities. Initially, his burial was marked by a plain granite gravestone that was quiet and modest, reflecting Knotts' off-screen manner. However, this plain memorial was finally replaced in early 2011 by a more suitable homage, a gorgeous bronze plaque that not only featured his name and birth and death dates, but also had engraved pictures of the many beloved roles he portrayed over his illustrious career. These featured renditions of his legendary roles as Barney Fife from The Andy Griffith Show, Luther Heggs from The Ghost, and Mr. Chicken, and other noteworthy film and television appearances that had won him over generations of admirers. Don Knotts had a huge impact on the worlds of comedy and television, and his influence went well beyond the roles he played. In the numerous tributes that followed his passing, fellow performers, comedians, and industry professionals commonly mentioned him as a key inspiration. His mastery of physical humor, distinct voice, and flawless timing made him popular among both audiences and peers. Comedians such as Steve Carell, Jim Carrey, and Tim Conway have all expressed respect for Knotts, recognizing how he influenced current television humor. His depiction of the neurotic, fumbling deputy Barney Fife established a gold standard for comic acting, and he received 5 Emmy Awards for Outstanding Performance by an actor in a supporting role in a comedy, each a monument to his exceptional talent. In commemoration of his enduring impact, a permanent statue of Don Knotts was commissioned and inaugurated on July 23, 2016. Sculptor Jamie Lester created the monument, which now sits in front of the Metropolitan Theater on High Street in Morgantown, West Virginia, where Knotts was born and reared. The statue depicts him in mid-laughter wearing the distinctive hat of his character Barney Fife and clothed in a deputy's uniform permanently captured in a moment of delight. This public memorial was not just a celebration of Knotts' career, but also a poignant statement of local pride as Morgantown recognized its own son who went on to become one of America's most beloved comedy performers. Knotts' family, friends, and hundreds of admirers attended the unveiling event to pay respect to a guy who had brought them so much fun. The monument and restored gravestone are permanent tributes to a guy who made millions grin with his unique combination of anxious energy, lovable vulnerability, and great humorous delivery. Don Knotts' legacy lives on via these tributes and repeats of his iconic performances, reminding us of the enduring power of laughter. What's your favorite Don Knotts performance? Did the shakiest gun in the West show his true genius? Like, comment, and subscribe to keep the memory of legends like Don Knotts alive.